Would you please flash the corresponding slides because Robert Chupaco is not yet in? Then I will proceed to introduce our guest speaker. So Henry, can you please show the slide? Please show the slide. First of all, we'd like to let you know that we would not be here without our special partners. As you see on the screen. Next slide. Next slide. In addition to partner, we have corporate members, and we have individual members. These are the individual members. You notice we have two. I'd like. One is Cesar, former prime minister, and the other one is our vice president. It's probably the best in the best. Next slide. Next slide.
Introduction.
Sir Ernie, introduction to the speaker.
I will now introduce the speaker, Emmanuel Galvez. Emmanuel, I'd like to let you know that I admire you very much because I heard someone meet you or your sister in Davao, right? And I'd like to introduce to you a person who is not only the head of Durian Industry Council, but an innovator. First of all, he goes abroad. He trained in Queensland in the South Australia, New Zealand area. And then he founded, he not only is head of the Industry Council, he founded the Sensory Services, which is extremely important. It's called the Cacao Sensory Services. In other words, he is a founder and innovator. In addition to that, he has his own farms, the president of Belvis Farms. But people, they produce in farms, but do they know how to market? Do they know how to process? He knows the whole chain. He produces, he processes, and he markets, correct? So we have here a complete businessman. And I will inform you that our group here, composed of practitioners, Emmanuel, we'd like to let you know that our departed chairman, who's in heaven now, told us, when we have forums like this, our objective is not just to entertain and educate. Our objective is to do what our foundation says in its title. We want to have agribusiness in countryside development, alleviating poverty. So, Emmanuel, when you talk, please give as part of your exposition to us what we can do. For example, you're head of Davao, Industry Council, but you have reach, and we're in Manila. So, and we have contacts which you may not have easy access to in government, in business, and banking. And so, as you tell us, because sometimes what you tell us, we apply in our business, but more importantly, what can we do to expand your mission, whether it is to help you connect to banks, which you may have trouble with, or whether it is our role to echo what you believe in. So, Emmanuel, I'd like to welcome you to our seminar. You're young and strong and very talented, and we'd like to maximize your talents because you're an innovator, creating sensory resources. You're a producer, a farmer. You're a businessman who knows processing and marketing because you have your own, delicacy store. You know everything, and we want you to shine through us. Durian, I once asked the person, what makes you happy? Is it going to movie? The person said, it is eating durian. And I know durian has actually penetrated the international market. It's very exciting. And I myself helped in buying 22 hectares only a year ago, where we will plant coconut trees. In between will be durian and other things. So they keep on saying coconut trees is cacao, and yet durian may be much better, right? So anyway, tell us how we can help you. So on that note, Robert Chupanco will be in pretty soon. Is Robert Chupanco
Robert is in.
Yes,
He's
yes,
in.
I'm here. Of course.
my hero is in.
Per your request.
Good.
Yes, yes.
Yes, thank you, Robert. You're a real nice guy, and I think the best entrepreneur among us. Okay, Emmanuel, please proceed with your talk. Perhaps, Robert, you can start by calling him to start speaking.
Sure. Okay, Emmanuel, do I call you Emmanuel or Manny?
It's Nell.
Mel. All right,
Mel.
Mel. Yes. Now, so your timing as a speaker, congratulations to Bernie, is perfect because this was introduced in how do you say that in the diplomacy, Durian
Durian
diplomacy.
diplomacy in
Yes, and
China.
then in China, and then now it's spreading like wildfire. Everybody likes to try durian, and perfect. So, Mel, without much ado, may we ask you to share with us what you could share to this laudable group, which is the ABC map. Thank you, Mel.
Good morning, everyone. I would like to share my screen. Thank you, Sir Ernesto, for that wonderful introduction. Eh, eh. Okay, is everybody seeing my presentation?
Yes.
Okay, okay. So
Carry
I
on.
can start.
Yes.
Okay. So good morning, everyone. I'm Emmanuel Belvis of Belvis Farms and president of the Durian Industry Association. So this is my presentation on the durian industry. It's really a big opportunity for not only for some farmers in Mindanao but for the whole Philippines. Okay, so I'll introduce what's durian. So durian, if everybody is familiar with durian, it's a stinky fruit. Yeah, some likes it, some does not. It's considered the king of fruits, or some call it the king of all tropical fruits. And it has a very distinct aroma, a very distinct covering with its thorns. And some does not like because the durian because of the smell. But this is a unique selling proposition for durian. If you don't like the smell, you'd wonder what does it taste like. So you would buy, and it would be positive or negative. You won't like durian, but if you like it, you probably eat it. But I know many people who eats and tries durian at the first time, he does not like it, but in the long run, she may be addicted to it. So, well, that's one selling proposition, unique selling proposition for durian. So durian comes from the Malay word, which is duri, which means thorn, and it's originated in the Malay archipelago. I think some varieties, some original varieties are from the Malay and in Palawan areas. We observed some in the Mindanao areas too. Some old, really old native trees. Okay, so durian is from the genus of Durio, and there are around 30 Durio species, in which 9 of it are edible fruits. I think the one that is commercially available is the Durio sibitinus. This is where our puyat, our musangking, our duyaya comes from. But there are some varieties like the red. If some are familiar with the red durian, which is the gravulens, it's another species, the cotigunensis and the loyanes, and there are around 9 species that are edible. The rest are hardwood or some ornamentals or just unedible durian varieties, durian species. So local durians are usually registered, like the puyat, which this is registered under NSEC, nanam, sulit, and others. So if you can see, the durian has a very high energy content. For every 100 grams that you eat of durian, that's around 149 calories, around 150 calories, almost like a cup of rice. Every 100 gram of durian that you eat is 1 cup of rice. So you can see the energy factor of the durian fruit, and it's really very nutritious. If you can compare it with other fruits, it fails to compare with the energy that it will give you. So maybe this is where the myth that when you eat durian, it has an aphrodisiac effect because of the high energy that you get from it. When every time you eat durian, you feel very energetic. You feel your body is very hot because of the energy boost that you get from it. Okay, durian can be eaten as fresh, but it can also be processed. You can process it as jams. In some countries, even in Singapore and Malaysia, even the multinationals mix it in their products. In this picture, you can see the McDonald's McFlurry. It's durian flavored. In Hong Kong, they make it into Hong Kong style durian pizza. In Singapore, tarts. You can also do frozen durian or biscone, or for the pastries, chocolate coated ice creams, candies. There are many uses for durian, not only for fresh. You can also do roasted durian. As you can see in this picture, some sellers here in Davao do roasted durian. It's like akin to eating a creme brulee. So the sugars are cooked and it has a very, the caramel, burnt caramel taste is very good. Not only for food, it can also be used for papers. And I think there are some studies making it into antibacterial paste from its pulp inside, and I think pectin source. Okay. So durian is mainly grown here in the ASEAN region. And in the ASEAN region, in Malaysia, there are a lot of durians in Malaysia. I think there are around 200 or 300 varieties that are registered in the government, like the famous Musang King, the Blackthorn, Golden Phoenix, the D24, the 101, and the list goes on. In Thailand, Thailand is the biggest exporter of durian. These are usually the main varieties that they export: Montong, Chani, and their famous Kanyao. They also have the Wang Mani, but because of this, I think Thailand can export because they have very standardized varieties and high volume. Another country is Indonesia. Indonesia is the biggest producer of durian, but I'll get back to that later. But they have these varieties. It's not very popular. The Buah Lai, the Buah Medan, and Buah Petrok. So in the Philippines, we have lots of varieties. Usually, I think we're around 30 or so registered varieties, but there are a lot of introduced varieties too, like the Liaya, the D24 is a registered introduced variety. The Alcon Fancy, I think similar to Caradum. The Arancillo, I think this is locally bred. Basketball, the Kuangko TD or the Thailand durian. The D101, I think this is Malaysian origin. The Rio Gravelens, this is the red durian. The GD69 is bred by Mr. Galang. Cob White, this is also introduced in the Cob Yellow. The Nanam, I think we grow this in our farm. It's developed by my father. The native durian. The red prawn, I think this comes from Thailand. The sulit is also developed in our farm, in Valdez farm. Schwarzkopf, I think this was from Iho plantation. The Thornless, this is from BPI. Umali, I think this is from UPLB. And UPLB Gold, also from UPLB. And the Puyat. The Puyat is the most popular variety here in the Philippines. Okay, because it has a very, very good flesh, very good color, very good edible portion. And in the farmer side, it's very easy to grow. The tree is not so big. It has a relatively small canopy. And it's a bit tolerable to Phytophthora and some other diseases. So majority of the durians here in the Philippines are introduced, but I think this can be a boon and a bane here because we don't have a standard really, unlike Thailand, which has a standard that they have a volume for one kind of durian that they can sell in volume. In the Philippines, because we have a lot of varieties, we cannot form a standard for our export. So this is like a bird's eye view of the situation here in the ASEAN. As you can see, Thailand is the #1 exporter of durian. They export around 90% of their produce, and which is around, I think, and they export around 900,000 metric tons, which in 2021 reached the value of $4.4 billion US. So they have a fear that in 2025 it might shrink. Their market share would increase around 57% because Vietnam and the other countries are also, ramping up their production of durian. The second exporter is Malaysia. Malaysia is known for their really good fruits, very tasty durian fruits. So they produce around 448,000 metric tons, and they export around 35 million US dollars. And they have the most reach because they export around to 22 other countries and regions. Indonesia is the #1 producer of durian, but majority of the durian produced in Indonesia are what we call like something like a native durian, and the per capita consumption in the local the main market is the local consumption. So they produce around 1.3 million metric tons, but they export around 200 metric tons. They only export to Malaysia. I think they have a big potential to be an exporter, but as of now, they don't have any export protocols for China. That's why they're limited for their export. But I've heard that they have been expanding their durian, and they're aiming for the Chinese market too. Another region is Vietnam. Vietnam is they just got their accreditation. They have a G2G with China last year. I think they were approved on November or December last year to export directly to China. And I think they're ramping up their durian production now. And I think they're posted to be the third largest exporter of durian maybe this year. And Thailand is really scared of their position because they have a very good position, especially the placement of their area is landlocked with China, and they can really ship directly, cheaply through by land. For the Philippines, we are considered number 7 exporter in the whole world for durian, but that's just a very small percentage. We're growing around 16,000 hectares. This is a 2019 data, and we produce around 78,000 metric tons. Last 2020, we exported around 2,630 metric tons fresh and frozen durian. And fortunately, during January, we had signed an agreement with China to export durian. So this is really a big potential. But there are some other countries that also produce durian, like India, Africa, Mexico, Hawaii, Australia, and even China. China is trying to develop their durian now. They have trial farms in Hainan, but I've heard that because of the really cold weather, they cannot match the quality of the durians from their neighboring countries. These other countries also produce durian, but they also usually sell it locally. And I think that there is a big expansion in South America now, and they're targeting the US market and the European market. So for the world bird's eye view of the situation, Indonesia produces around 47%, while Thailand produces 33% of the durian, while Malaysia is 19%. So I think the other countries is less than 1% here in this situation. For the durian export, if you can see, 95% of all the durians are exported by Thailand and only 4% from Malaysia. But this is a 2016 data. I could not find a more recent data for this durian export and production. But I think this is, I think Vietnam is trying to get the share of Vietnam is trying to get the share of durian exports from Thailand. As you can see, others for durian export is just 1%, and Philippines is included that in that data, and we are, I think, number 7 in that ranking. So that's very low. The market's really huge. So for world durian imports, this is I got more recent data. If you can see, I think we can see here that Vietnam is emerging, and we can see that China is importing around 81% of all the durians in the world. You can see Hong Kong, there's 13%, but the Hong Kong durians are still going to China. Vietnam, Singapore, Chinese Taipei, and the US is a very small market. It's only 0.29%. And the other countries are only 1.15%. So this is the export flow of durian. If you can see, Thailand ships mainly to Hong Kong and to China. Vietnam sends to other countries also. But we cannot show, because there are some durians, even here in the Philippines, that we send to Thailand or China or for other countries, since the bilateral has not been approved. But hopefully this year we can send directly to China. So this is for the value added durian like flavorings, durian candies, durian food additives, pastries. So we can see this is the hub. Unfortunately, we cannot see their sources where the durian come from, but usually it comes from China, because a lot of durian paste are shipped from China and even from Malaysia and from some in Indonesia. So this is the agricultural imports in 2021. I would like to share this with you to show you that we have a big export for fruits in China. We ship around 16%. The volume, our volume shares for fruits is around 16%, while Thailand is 32%. But we can see by value for the Philippines, for the 16%, by value it's just 5%. So we're shipping a lot of I think majority are bananas and pineapples. The value of these fruits are very low. But if you can see, Thailand is shipping 32% of their and this is mainly durian, and you can see the share per value is around 52%. I think this will give you a clearer picture. This is the fruits that is imported in China, and you can see that 32% of the by volume share is banana. But if you can see, 9%, only 9% is the value for this 32% of bananas. While durian, 14% of the bulk is durian, while its value is around 38%. So it can make you think. So as you can see in this other graph, we can see that in 2017 to 2021, the volume for the import of durian is increasing. So as the value of durian in 2020, it shoot up from You can see here in the average import price, 2019, it start to gain popularity from 2.68 dollars per kilo, and in 2021 reached 5.11. So fortunately, I was one of the persons that went to Beijing with the president for the signing of the durian, and we did a little market intelligence there. And you can see these are the durians that we saw in the supermarket. And for the Thailand durian, they were selling it around converted in peso around 706 pesos per kilo. But for the Malaysian durians, which are the premium durians, the Musang King, they sell it around $8,024. 8,024 pesos. I'm sorry, that's pesos. For the blackthorn, I think that is the most popular now. They're selling it around 11,237 pesos. That's around 1,399 renminbi. So you can see the prices there are mind blowing, but I like to remind you that this is supermarket prices. I think what I heard from the exporters is the average regular durians they are buying around, I think 5,500 to 6,500 for the Thai durians per box, per 18 kilo box. So this is a big potential really for the Philippines. As we can see here, this is the per capita consumption. Unfortunately, the per capita consumption of the durian in the Philippines for 2016 is around 0.2 kilos per person. So that's very, very low, almost the same as China, which is 0.21. The highest per capita consumption is the Malaysians, which they eat around 11%, followed by Taiwan, 3.2, Singapore, 3.18. Brunei, and so on. But you can see in this other graph, this is their projection that in 2030, the per capita consumption for durian in China will reach around 1.2. So this is really a big potential, not only for the per capita, but also the huge population that they have, and I'm going to skip this. So this is the world growth scenario for this for durian. In 2030, we'll need around 4.5 billion kilos of durian to feed the whole world. So the global demand would reach around 28.62 billion US dollars in 2025. I would also like to share this graph. This is an experience in Thailand, in which durian exports would grow, but the per capita consumption of the locals would decrease. It may be because of the price, maybe because there's not enough durian, but I think from they should look into this and other businessmen as an opportunity that usually if we export, we always forget the local market. So I think this is a big potential for the local durian. So in January 4, 2023, the protocol of phytosanitary requirements for export of fresh durian from the Philippines to China between the Department of Agriculture of the Republic of the Philippines and the General Administration of the Customs of the People's Republic of China was signed. So these are the actual pictures of the meeting, and these are the actual signatures of the protocols. So this is hard proof evidence that China has accepted our durians. So how does the Philippines stack up? We've heard all these great stories, but is the Philippines ready? So I got this from DOST data, and here in the Philippines, majority of the durians grown are Arancillo, Liaya, and Puyat. We have a total production of around 78.8 thousand metric tons, and we are planted around 6.6 thousand hectares. Our average yield is 4.8, but in reference, I think Malaysia is their average around 7 to 10 tons. And here in Davao City, I think the average production per farmer is around 7 tons. In my farm, I think I produce around 12 to 15 tons per hectare. So that's just a comparison. Our top producer in the Philippines is the Davao region, and we are the number 7 exporting country for durian. But that's just a very small percentage. We exported. This is just I would like to show you. We exported around 2,630 metric tons, but these are all mixed. But if you convert this all to fresh fruits, I think that is 9,612 metric tons. There is really a lot of surplus to export if we just exported around 9.6 metric tons, and we have a total volume of 78.8 thousand metric tons. We have a big potential to export. The only problem is the quality. If we can teach the farmer to grow quality durian. So these are the varieties, as I mentioned earlier, and I think the most potential here for export is the Puyat variety. Okay, this is the production season for the global market, for the global setting. The countries, if you can observe, the Philippines production season is around August, September, October, November, and we are fortunate for this time of season because we don't have much competition. As you can observe, majority of the other countries are producing around April to July. The only country that I think that's in conflict with us is the Indonesian market, Indonesian durian producers, and East Malaysia. But Indonesia, as of now, is not a threat because they don't have a bilateral agreement between China. East Malaysia, I think they mainly export to Singapore this time. So this is the situation here in the Philippines. 16%, 16,677 hectares are produced in the Philippines. You can see 49% of that is located in the Davao region. So a lot of potential in other regions to plant more durian. So this is the total metric tons produced for 2019, around 79,000 metric tons. And as you can see, the volume from Davao region is around 75% of that. Davao City, in comparison in the Davao region, Davao City is the highest producer of durian, which is around 71% of the Davao region. So these are the exports. As you can see, in 2019, there was, before the pandemic, there was a lot of countries that were importing from the Philippines. As you can see, there was a lot of interest. This has, I think, the small percentages were trial shipments. Unfortunately, during the pandemic, it stopped. And now, 2021, after the pandemic died down, there is a spark of interest again, and hopefully it would continue. So these are the challenges, issues, and concerns of the farmers for the durian industry. the high cost of inputs. It's very expensive now. The fertilizers almost times 3 or times 4. A regular urea 2 years ago was cost around 900 pesos. Now it costs around 2008 to 2007 pesos. The farmers are really having a hard time now. Capitalization, not all farmers have reached for capitalization. Proper inventory of durian trees, because we've been asking BA to have a proper inventory so that we can plan the export of this season, because we had a problem last May, last July last year. We thought that there was a low harvest for durian. We were estimating around 35 tons per day for the processing of my friend, and we were shocked that some farmers brought around 100 tons a day. So if there was a proper inventory of these trees and of their season for durian, the export market could have been planned more thoroughly. So another thing is the standardization of durian cultivars, because the varieties planted are different varieties. If the Philippines can, have a standard of variety of durian, that would be great and more easier to have a volume of a certain variety. Okay. There are also other varieties like the Musang King and the Blackthorn that are coming in. I think this needs to have a good study, because I heard that Musang King is very susceptible to disease, and government should, or the BPI should look into this to make a productivity and pest and disease susceptibility study before letting other farmers plant more of this, because we had a similar thing back 10 years ago when D24 was introduced. And unfortunately, when D24 was introduced, it was very susceptible to Phytophthora, and some farmers planted, but it did not make the production was not so good because it was easily attacked by Phytophthora. So I think we should update in the Philippines. We should update our post-harvest research, post-harvest technologies. Also, our production technologies were far behind from our big brothers in Malaysia and in Thailand, because we have poor cultural nutrient management, damages to Phytophthora palmivora, and low adaptation of improved production technologies. Excuse me. Another thing is we should also teach our farmers entrepreneurial mindsetting, because majority of the backyard farmers that I know are, when they earn money, they don't plow back the investment in their farms. They don't buy fertilizers or something. They usually spend it for usually for their family, to improve their lives. But if they have an entrepreneurial mindset, they would try to improve their farm, and so that they could increase and upgrade their farms, especially in their production side and the quality side. Certifications is also one of the barriers, because for you to export to the China, for you to have the opportunity to have this kind of market, you need to have a GAP, at least a GAP training, a GAP certification. You have GAP certified training, and if you have a GAP certified farm, you have a GAP certified training, you can get a BPI accreditation for your farm, because for export in China, you need this BPI accreditation, because they will get a farm code. If you don't have this farm code, your durians will not be accepted in China. Okay. Another thing is the branding of the Philippine durian, because like in Malaysia, when you talk Malaysian durian, they will say, you think about Musang King. Musang King is really popular. Or when you talk Thai durian, Montong is very popular. For the Philippines, even the Chinese, the first Chinese that I talked to here, they didn't realize that there was durian in the Philippines. So I think this can be one help that the government can do to do the branding of the Philippine durian, not only local but also international branding, like what they did with the Philippine Super Mango. Unharmonized government policies. Like one problem we had with this is the regulation between the FPA with the empty chemical bottles. If you triple rinse it, it's not considered a hazardous waste. But for EMB policy, I think it's a hazardous waste. So I think these government agencies would have to talk to each other to, settle which is the right policies to do in the farm. And another one is the land use policy, because a lot of interest in durian farming, in cacao farming, in coffee farming. But the problem is because there is no land use policy, farms are usually converted into informal subdivisions or chop up and turn into smaller farms. That is where our dwindling farms are really affecting our production. So I think if the government has a good land use policy, this will really help not only the durian industry but all the agri industry in the Philippines. So thank you very much for listening, and I hope you learned something from my talk. Thank you.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Yes, definitely. Congratulations for that presentation. Yes, Mel, no? And we'd like to open, of course, our formal is ends up to 9 o'clock, and then we go to informal session. But at the moment, when we open now this time, precious time for question and answers.
Mr. Chairman, I'm in the hospital,
Yes.
but I've asked this question.
Yeah.
That's a very outstanding industry plan. I've seen the others; they're not good. Yours is very good. My question is this: who did your plan? Who wrote your plan? Who wrote your plan? Who wrote the industry plan for durian?
Industry plan for durian.
Yeah, roadmap. Who wrote the roadmap? The one you
Ah.
presented. Who wrote it?
I think we had the old roadmap. I think we worked with DA last time, but and NEDA. But I think it needs to be updated because that was years ago.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Yupanko, I'm saying that because I was just in touch with them yesterday, and there's now a desire to upgrade and make more excellent the roadmaps. There are many roadmaps that are very defective, so we'd like to upgrade that. I was contacted yesterday by the official, and I've been elected as the head of all agri roadmaps by PCCI. So we want to do that because without roadmap, we will not do well. And secondly, the roadmaps MAP ABCD can do will be actual. They have these roadmaps which are 20 years and they don't know what to do in the next 12 months. And that's what MAP ABCD will do. And Robert, since you're an excellent entrepreneur, I hope you'll join this effort. We just
Sure.
got this call yesterday. Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for the durian outfit. Okay.
Yes,
will-
we also have now excellent entrepreneur and also from your place from Davao. So may we call Rene for your question?
Oh God, magaling yan. Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Belbisba is with DTI or is he a private farmer?
I'm a private farmer, sir.
Okay, good. So you will understand what I'm going to say. No? 3 years ago, I was appointed as food and logistics advisor for William Dar.
Excuse me, by the way, no? Yes, Ernie, can you mute your Zoom, please? Kasi medyo may ingay ng konti. Or, of course,
Okay, and then I went to the high value crop division sa Quezon City, DA Quezon City, and I asked the then undersecretary in charge of the high value crop do we have a tropical fruit tree plantation strategy? I saw in her eyes yung undersecretary natin who is also from Davao then.
Labi niya.
Yes.
Ah.
I saw from her eyes a look of unknowing, no? Nagulat siya. And her answer to me was, no, we don't have it. Sabi ko, that is the reason why we remain to have a small, usually backyard type of tree growing, no? And you mentioned a little bit about the roadmap, pero kung we are not aiming for massive plantations, number one, and then number two, parallel development of value chain and supply chain, mahirapan tayo, no? Ang isa pang napansin ko na problema natin is, who is really in charge? Kanina tinatanong ko nga kung you're a regular farmer or you're from the government. Sa totoo lang, when we talk about farming, there seems to be nobody in charge. Wala kang, you don't know who to go
May
to.
disconnect po.
Yes, you don't know who to go to. There is nobody implementing policy or creating all the necessary factors for success to make it work. We don't even practice MBO, no, management by objective. There is really no objective. It is just floating in the air.
Yes.
Bahala na kung anong ma-reach natin, bahala na kung anong tamaan natin. So, one is there is no strategy, and secondly, there is nobody in charge. Okay, walang, for example, in the durian, there is no durian czar. I have received an order for 1 ton of durian for China, and I realized, kanino ako lalapit? Kanino ako magtatanong? What is the standards that we need to follow so that we can export it? Is there a packaging requirement? Of course, the phytosanitary inspection certificates are needed, pero how am I going to do it? It is just floating up there in the air. The president has been able to close a deal with China, but without the standards being set up, without anybody in government being responsible for the execution of that new deal, saan tayo pupunta? Anong gagawin natin?
I can answer that, sir.
Yeah.
Actually, sir, we're an association, sir. We're a small association because we're just Davao City. Our jurisdictions around Davao City lang. We're a group that was formed by the City Agri. So parang kami ngayon ang naging, dahil we're the only association kasi na registered eh. Kahit Davao City lang kami, parang naging nasa amin yung spotlight. So we have been working with DA ngayon, DA, BPI Plant Quarantine Service, BPI SPAL, yung sa mga MRLs. And we're also working with the academy to i-plaster to lahat. So ngayon, I think there are 5 factories that has been trying to be approved for export in durian, and farmers ngayon is unti-unting tinitrain ng DA with GAP certification, because that's one thing that you need to export durian. For the farmer side po, you need GAP training. If you have the certificate and you have, your farm must be GAP aligned, not necessarily GAP certified. So when you get this, when you apply to BPI for your GAP accreditation, BPI accreditation, if it passes, they will give you a farm code for your farm, and you will partner now with another packing house that is registered to export to China. It's a little bit complicated because hindi lang kasi yung BPI ang the Chinese government is also pulling the strings na they have a really high standard na para makapasok at din dito sa market na ito. So yun, from the packing house and the exporter need to be also registered to be accredited as a exporter to China. Ang mag-approve kasi ang BPI natin at ang Chinese JCC, which is I think the Chinese JCC is like BPI and customs department, parang ganun sila. Ay, mute, sir.
Hindi ka namin marinig, Rene.
Okay, may I add something, no?
Yes, sir.
This is my experience sa banana, no? Exporting bananas to China. What the Chinese did, they control the importers doon sa China. They created a list of accredited importers within China. And then what they did, they sent over their businessmen to create a setup in Davao City where naka-front Filipinos pero ang may-ari mga Chinese traders. Pagkatapos, because of that, they started making arrangements with practically everybody there. And then sila na lang namimili ng bananas. Of course, because sila ang namimili ng banana at sila lang din ang may access sa exports into China because of the importers list, accredited list, they were controlling the prices already. No? Why am I mentioning this? Because it can happen to the durian as well. Ganyan sila kagagaling, ganyan sila ka-astute businessmen. So they control it at the China level, sa import side. Yung meron lang importers accreditation ang pwedeng mag-import. Pagkatapos, yung importer na yon mag-accredit naman ng exporter sa Pilipinas, padadala nila yung businessmen nila rito para mag-set up sila ng mga companies dito na supposedly owned by Filipinos, pero at the background, sila really ang nagko-control. And then they control the prices. So, yan yung isa sa mga possibilities na pwedeng mangyari, lalong-lalo na because our government the government doesn't really know what to do, you know.
Yes.
They have no iota of idea how to manage, direct the trade and increase the volumes and the dollar earnings. That's why that's why before yung starting story ko pa lang, I already asked the question, do you have, sabi ko sa DA, do you have a tropical fruit tree plantation strategy? Because if you don't have it, and then the people who are supposedly in charge pero they are not in charge, you cannot blame them, you cannot throw the book on them for failure to be able to meet national goals, which they don't have anyway. Sayang talaga itong agricultural industry natin.
Yes, po.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your input.
Yes. Good. Very relevant and good observation, Rene. So keep on joining our group, and so that you could give some lot of inputs. While waiting for other inquiries or questions, magtatanong lang ako quickly, Mel, no?
Yes, po.
Basically, no? So, all right. So number one, anong life ng tree?
The tree can be around kahit 50 years po, basta maayos lang yung pag-alaga. Proper yung drainage mo, proper yung
Yes.
before you plant. Kasi dapat maayos yung layout mo, the spacing,
Yes. And
the drainage.
yes.
Opo.
And how
You can
many
really
can you
more.
plant in 1 hectare?
For puyat po, for the puyat variety, if maliit lang yung farmer, he can plant around 8 by 8, but medyo extensive dahil medyo labor intensive yung
So,
8 by 8.
8 by 8 is how many
Opo.
trees? Ilan trees
I
yun?
think 156.
156.
Opo.
Okay.
But for if you have a big farm and you want to semi-mechanize it, 10 by 10 is best.
Alright.
Maybe,
And a quick one lang, magkano price ngayon dito sa market? Parang sibuyas to eh. So gusto kong malaman magkano yung price
okay.
dito sa
So,
average. Yeah.
So ngayon kasi off-season, I think yung export kasi pag off-season wala masyado eh.
No, dito
For
domestic.
local is I think here in Davao City, kung you have the puyat variety, kahit 60, ganyan, 65 wholesale.
65 pesos per kilo.
Opo, class A.
Per kilo. 65 pesos per kilo, ha?
65 pesos. Opo.
65 pesos.
Opo.
And
Pero kung yung mga other varieties and yung mga lower 35 to 40 pesos per kilo.
okay. And
Opo.
in one let's say 1 tree per year, how much can you yield? More or less lang, quickly lang.
Around mga po. For low expectation 40 to 60 fruits. Pag maganda yung these are full grown fruits na mga around 7 to 8 years or 10 years.
All right.
40 to 60. Pero pag maganda yung panahon, maganda yung kaya ka mag 80 fruits, 80.
Yes.
We practice kasi fruit thinning para
Okay.
hindi mag-overfruit naman, masira yung fruit, yung tree mo.
Okay. Good. Now, okay, to give way to others, who was the one who raised this question other than Rene? Meron nagtatanong kanina. Did anybody raise their hand?
Kung wala, magtatanong ako, Robert.
Sure, Bernie, go ahead.
Okay. Ako, Nel, ang tanong ko, how come Davao and Davao City are the biggest producers? What about them?
Because po sa Davao po dito nag-start yung mga native durians, mga yung sinauna na so I grew up with native durians and sumikat yung na dati kasi parang 15 pesos per piece pa lang or 5 pesos per piece. Unti-unti yung mga durian farmers na nag-import ng mga yung chani yung popular sa Thailand. So parang sumikat. Unti-unti yung nagtanim yung ibang farmers, nakita ng kapitbahay na farmer, gumaya. Yun. Tapos I've been farming kasi for 30 years for durian since yung father ko pa noon. And naging president din yung father ko ng Durian Council noon. Then we had partnerships with DA sa association and sa council namin na noon kasi ang problem namin is market din because market ng durian noon is only local here in Davao City. Nung nagkaroon ng bulk, halos wala nang bumibili ng durian dahil everyone is planting durian eh. Even your neighbor is planting, you can't sell to your neighbor. So, unti-unti naming with the help of DA, pinadala namin sa Cebu, sa Manila. Nakita namin yung reception noon, that is 15 years ago. Ayaw kumain ng tao ng durian, nababahuan. Yung kumakain lang yung mga nakabisita ng Davao, yung mga Pero looking now, parang na-develop na yung market because of our efforts na nagpapadala ng durian sa people now in Manila are hindi naman majority pero mas marami nang kumakain.
Yes.
In
Right.
Cebu.
So Mel, I think we have a question here. Meneleo Carlos. Okay, please. Meneleo, yep.
Hello,
Go ahead.
can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I just wanted to ask yung fertilizer because I heard earlier that the trees are being fertilized. How are they fertilized? With urea, you said? And how often do you fertilize them?
For my farm po, I do I do soil testing. Tapos from my soil test, dun ko binibase yung fertilization ko. Pero if parang general lang po, usually we fertilize around 8 kilos of fertilizer for the whole season. Tapos bukod pa yung chicken dung, yun. Usually before after harvesting, we put high nitrogen fertilizers like urea, tapos konting complete na halo. Tapos pag malapit yung flowering, high phosphorus fertilizer like Phoscal. Tapos add kami ng super triple phosphates or 1846 ba. Tapos pag flowering, hindi kami mag-fertilize niyan. So we protect the fruits as it grows. We do chemical spray para maprotektahan siya sa fruit borers. Then pag malapit na ma-harvest, you do a high potassium fertilization naman. So that improve yung yung fruits mo. So more or less around 8 8 to 12 kilos. Depende sa size ng tree. Tapos we usually put around mga 25 to 50 kilos na chicken dung per tree per year. And yeah, you know, we monitor our pH as needed. Maglagay kami ng dolomite or agri-lime.
Uh-huh.
We do foliar fertilizers every time we spray. Yung
Oh,
mga
good.
miscellaneous sprays.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. So Mr. Carlos, does that answer that? So that's around 8 to 12 kilos of fertilizer per
Opo,
hectare per year.
opo.
Lang. Oh.
Per
Per
hectare.
tree, per tree.
Per tree.
Per
tree.
tree.
Right. Wala bang substitute yung urea yun at tumaas from 800 to 3,000? Wala na ba tayong substitute dyan?
Wala po dahil kasi these trees are, lalo yung durian, very very voracious sa inputs. Kailangan maayos yung, especially with the hybrids.
Right.
You
Can you
need
not
to-
have, Mel, can you not do an organic durian para tayo, differentiated tayo from the other countries?
It can be naman, sir, but for my practice, parang hindi ko pa nakita yung need na ang price difference kasi parang ganun din eh. Wala
Organic.
premium
No, I
price
think
as of
there's a
now.
big market for organic tree fruits, no? Baka pwede Philippines medyo ihi na lang gawin natin. Ihian natin plus the 90% water. Anyway, okay, we have Israel who wants to ask a question. Go ahead, Israel.
Yes, thank you, Robert. Thank you, Mel, for a very informative presentation. Now, so my question is, I understand that Philippines is number 7 and
Yes,
Thailand is number 1. Would you know the secret sauce or secret formula of Thailand? Why are they able to become number 1 exporter? And would you know if comparing their farmers and our farmers in terms of profitability?
So for Thailand po, sir, yung talaga nila, yung secret nila is they have the standard varieties. Government support din nila, very good. But ang kasi nila is yung talaga is because they only grow kasi noon yung nag-start pa sila, they only grow montong and chani. So it's like they have a standard of big volume. So they can ship sustainable, same standard na it's easily to export. Actually, we have an inquiry 10 years ago for durian export. But the problem here in the Philippines is iba-ibang variety. So if the customer likes, I want 100 tons of puyat, I cannot find 100 tons of puyat because every farmer here, dito kasi sa Davao, parang pasikatan. Ito yung masarap, ito yung tinanim ng lolo ko. Yun yung tinanim nila. Or, I don't like puyat, I like arancillo. So he planted more arancillo. So we don't have that standard of planting of one variety or few varieties. Kaya wala tayong, pag nag-ship tayo, iba-iba yung so, naman the export market, they like one kind, one characteristic na ma-replicate nila ng volume. So I think yun yung nagawa na simula ng Thailand. They only planted majority chani and montong. So for the naman po, malaki ang kita nila because they have a export market.
Okay. Mel,
yes.
what we reach already 9 o'clock. We will just do from shift from formal to informal. We'll first give you a certificate of appreciation and so on through the kindness, of course, of our president and Bernie. And then we continue with informal. Okay, go ahead. Okay, thank you. Of course, Bernie. Okay. So now, we have now this certificate of appreciation given to Manuel Belvis. Okay, and parang may feedback by the way. Can somebody just check?
Nag-echo ka.
Oo nga, nag-echo. Bakit kaya? Anyway. Okay, so maybe can you continue, Bernie? Kasi nag-echo sa akin.
Vivian yung next week.
Okay. Hello? Nag-feedback pa rin eh. But Bernie, can you just read?
So Vivian, yung announcement natin for next week is yung hindi natuloy, no, because our speaker was not able to make it due to an emergency, si Elvin Laceda, who will talk to us about social enterprise. He's the UN ambassador for agriculture. So he's a young farmer of Rise Up, a CEO. Thank you.